so that tomorrow in your workplace, you can contribute, like you will always claim on your CV. You can always contribute, to the policies of the organization, because no organization develops organization's policy without the laws that regulate activities in that industry and by extension in that organization. So it becomes necessary that you should be one of those persons who make very vital contributions. But you can only make contributions when you know what the law is, or what the law says, or when you have an idea of what the law talks about. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. But tonight, we will actually be talking about the career professionals compass. The career professionals compass. Remember that yesterday we actually dealt with, we talked about the labor conditions in Nigeria, Africa, and by extension, the globe. And then we also talked about the global dimension of work. And more precisely, our focus in that particular meeting or that session was to look at the emerging job opportunities, referring to emerging professions and the necessary skill sets needed for running such professions. And without any doubts or disputes, you'll agree with me that there has been, on the increase, a rapid advancement. We're actually in an age or era called the jet age or the speed age. And it's an age that everything is going micro. Everything coming back. Okay, can you hear me? All right. So I was told that there was a kind of interruption in the process, which was for network. But I'm back right now. But don't forget that we're recording this particular session, so you're going to get the audio record. But it's better that we don't have any network fluctuation. So we gave a project yesterday, and that was on your career learning trajectory. Career learning trajectory in line with the topic under the global dimension having to do with emerging job opportunities means that a career person must have a complete understanding of where he or she is going. We're going to talk about that in another style today. And complete understanding of where you're going means that you should be able to understand the path through which you will pursue your career and be able to attain it eventually. And for you to be able to do that, one of the key principles that we learned yesterday was continuous learning. So learning trajectory simply talks about being able to highlight your prospects, your development prospects, and then which will enable your career practice in the future from where you are. And that is not a disputable fact, because the global economic system is rapidly moving, is on the move. Since the various dimensions of industrial revolution down to the fourth industrial revolution, there has always been an advancement. Okay, simply put, there has always been the change in the model of work. There has been a change in the model of industrial activities. I know that there is a connectivity between the model of work and the model of business activities. Why? Because employees are the drivers of the processes of an organization, meaning that until these workers develop the right skills, they will become not employable, which means unemployability will be on the increase and rampant. And when unemployability becomes on the increase, then it becomes a problem for industries to have the right human capital to carry out their processes. This is what you need to understand. And until you begin to do this, then the worth of a professional, the worth of a worker, you cannot attest to. And you also cannot exhibit or manifest. So that is why it's important that you understand what we are talking about here when we talk about job readiness awareness. See, there are jobs, but there are little or no persons with the right qualification to fit into those space. Take note of this. There are jobs, but there are little or no persons qualified to fit into those space. You can try that on LinkedIn and you get to understand what I'm talking about. So it means you have got to adjust and put yourself in the process to finding these jobs. So having said that, today we're looking at career professionals compass. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to pick out those very salient points and then you ask your questions. I will go. And then with the material, you can continue your journey. And then, like I posted on the group, you can always consult privately, okay, after this program and subsequently for further chatting over calls. All right. So here we'll be looking at these various topics that you can see here. All these topics are what we're going to be looking at today. They are all connected. Like I told us, today you're going to learn how to chart the course, just like we had earlier discussed yesterday, to be able to meet up with the emerging job opportunities, emerging professions, and skill sets. So we are going to look at, first of all, prospect of job opportunities. Since we talked about emerging opportunities yesterday, we want to look at prospects of job opportunities. And what does it talk about? There are three things that are of focus or concern here. Number one is building capacity. If you truly have a prospect for great job opportunities in the future, you must be able to build capacity. Building capacity is simply having the right human resources to fit into a given area of job or profession. And when you build capacity, you can render values, you can create values. Employers are looking for value creators, not cost centers, not liabilities. Some workers tend to believe that they are not good enough. That's a lie. That was the lie of academics. Academics made you to feel that with a third class, a second class, upper and lower, even to an extent, people with a first class, some of them are fumbling because of what they feel, because even some of them went through the process of cramming, all right? Like cram la pour. They cram, they pour out, and that's all. They can't really account for values. But let me tell you, the labor space tells you about your originality. And your originality is the fact that you've got some great potential for the inside. What do you need is a focus on training and development, and then your values will spring forth, and then you begin to create values. So prospects of job opportunities, don't forget, has three things: building capacity, creating values, and making a living out of it. Building capacity, creating values, and making a living out of it. If you can do these three principles, you are definite to make a headway. Trust me and quote me anywhere. Create, create, build capacity, create values in your organization or supposed place of work, and then make a living. You want higher earning, you want higher pay. Do you know today some workers are actually, some companies are in demand of certain workers. Like you have two, three companies demanding a worker because of his values, whereas we're having the rate of unemployment in Nigeria skyrocketing every day. Okay, you saw that there was a prediction for 40% rate of unemployment in Nigeria from 33.3%, as NECA earlier had predicted sometime early this year. So how can you deal with that? You can deal with that by building capacity, creating values, and then earning a living. All right. So how does this work? These are the elements that makes for prospects of job opportunities. And what are they? The first is that there are related job areas for a given discipline. There are related job areas for a given discipline. Cognizance of various kinds of job you can do may require additional study. Don't end with a BSc or an HND. They are becoming mere papers because the world is advancing into skills. A man called Peter Drucker, one of the best minded scientists in America, once had predicted the fact of skills. All right, and he talked about technical skills, interpersonal relation skills, ethical skills as going to be the skills driving the industries in the future. And of course, without doubt, that is playing out today because technical skills spreading across IT and other phases of technology, including human relations, there's behavioral skills, cannot be disputed. So, how do you do this? You studied business admin in school or you studied mechanical engineering. Please stop telling people I am a mechanical engineer. You studied mass communication. Stop telling people I'm a mass communicator. You studied law. It's not just enough. What do? Just do a research and find out. You're going to see that in the industry, the needs in the industry determines the phases of practices that law can enable you to do. Determines the phases of practices that business admin can enable you to do. Determines the phases of practices that mechanical engineering can enable you to do. Like, do you know today that some lawyers actually specialize on property or company law? That's an area of specialty. Some people specialize on family law because law is a broad, perspective of practice that cuts across all humans endeavor. So it means if you do not want to be jack of all trade and master of none, you've got to choose aspects from what is obtainable in the industry and then begin to practice in that area through what? Additional studies. All right. So you must locate specific areas as a graduate of law and a practitioner. You want to major in company law. You want to major in family law. That is what you want to major in. And if you want to major or maybe in international law, that is what you want to major in. And then you begin to go for courses that enables you to practice in that perspective. The second thing you need to know under job prospects, remember these things are things you must have a template for. You must write down your career prospects, have them at the back of your mind so that anytime you can pour them out, you can plan for them, you can develop alongside, and then you can be ready. That is how confidence is built. The second is work experience needed for each job area. Experience is what we call simple mastery. Experience has been proven to be one of the capital among knowledge, skills, and attitude. Knowledge, skill, and attitude. When we talk about attitude, we're talking about a part of skill that is called non-cognitive. That is inherent capabilities. All right. So experience has been proven to be one amongst these three different resources that a human can possess. And you can agree with me that a man with experience can quickly get a job, than a man who has knowledge and even skills but do not know how to implement them. This is why you must do application by inquiry. You must do volunteer jobs. We're going to get to that. Number three talks about typical employers industry that can employ you. How many of you know the industries that you can work now? If I ask you right now, how many of you know the industries that you can work? You see, a lot of graduates don't know this. They are looking for a job. That's the only thing they tell you. They are not even precise about where they can work. Some just say, I want to work in oil company. What did you study? Is your practice relevant in oil and gas industry? That's the question you ask. So please note that you must know who your employers are. By extension, you must know what industries you can work in, which means you must understand how your practice can fit into industries. For instance, if you're a lawyer and you are to work with an oil and gas firm, it means you must have studied law in oil and gas related area because there are laws in Nigeria and there are international laws that point to oil and gas practices. So if you don't know it, how are you going to practice as a legal expert to an oil and gas firm? The same thing applies to different professions. That to tell you that the practice areas of a given discipline as it is studied in school, they are endless. You only need to find them. You need to search them. You don't need to sit down and be looking for limited jobs. You need to have variety of jobs that you can do. That makes you a multi-talented and faceted person. The next one is knowing exactly what the employers expect. If you want to work in a particular industry, do you know what the employer should expect? And someone say, am I in the employer's mind? You're not in their mind, but every industry has a way it is wired. Every industry is shaped in a given way. That's why we talk about industry systems. Every industry has a system, and the system is made by laws, by technologies, and by models of work. Every industry system is made up, of laws, or is determined by laws, national and international laws, is determined by technologies, and it's also determined, apart from technology, is determined by models of work. And these models are driven by competitors, given the demands from users, from consumers, from customers. We're not dealing with customer service. I've gone more to explain that. So, in essence, you must know what the employer needs. You must know what the employer needs via what I've just mentioned now. So, how do you know? Go for acquiring technological skills, understand the models of work. Once you understand this and understand the law, you already know what the employer wants. Are you getting it right now? That is how it works. So employers want committed workers, innovative workers, skillful workers, productive workers, knowledge workers. A knowledge worker is called a person who works via a specialized body of knowledge, which means by the prediction of World Economic Forum, okay, and also by the prediction of ISO, we are getting to understand that with time, people with low skill would find no place anymore in the labor space, because every work would have been so modified, advanced, that it will become pure skilled labor. So even your BSc right now can become low skilled. So that's why you've got to advance. The next is further study stroke development. If I know what the employer wants, if I know the phases of industries I can work, if I know the specific areas I want to practice, for instance, if I'm a mass communicator, like I read in school, for instance, I want to become an on-air personnel. That's what I want to do. So I would now have to further my study in that perspective. I want to become a journalist. I will further my study in that perspective. Don't say I didn't study journalism. As a mass communicator, you did a bit of journalism, so you can further it professionally. That's why there's a difference between academic studies and professional studies. Professional study picks bits of them and expounds them. Academic picks bits of them and gives you bits of knowledge. That's what it does. So if you understand this, you will know how to pick areas you want to major and then to professionalize in those areas. The next is skill sets. So skill set, of course, is where the world is running today. Yesterday, we talked about general skills, we talked about soft skills, and we talked about technical skills. And these three skills are the drivers of skill set today in all industries in the globe. And that was according to LinkedIn and World Bank's research on necessary skill sets that are meant to drive the industries of today. So we're going to talk more on skill sets on our CV and our letter. So let's move on. So right now, what we have here is a guideline that will help you to be able to build this. So if you can document this, highlight each of them.
We're not seeing your screen.
You're not seeing my screen?
Yes.
But you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was told that you can't see my screen, so please let me share it. Sorry. I think there is a fluctuation in network. I think that's why we're having this. But I've just shared it. I believe you can see it now.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the guidelines that we have here, please, is what I've just explained. So what do you do as a career person, as a serious career person? Please, as we send you this material, come to this point, take what you have here, highlight them, research each of them on Google according to your area of profession, all right? And then you would have had a template on your career pursuit for life, all right? That is what this is simply all about. So I don't need to go back to them again because I've just explained them. So after prospects of job opportunity, we go straight to job application secrets. I've heard a lot of graduates because, and it's been an opportunity to train youth corporates for over 7 years now. I've got to realize that one of the major challenges that a lot of graduates face is the fact of job application secrets. And I will tell you why. The reason is because there is no connection between their human resources built and the needed, requirements for applying for job. If you have not built human resources, how are you going to apply for job? That is why a lot of graduates are confused because they've discovered that with the BSc they have, they can't even define where they're going in the labor space. And that is more like an aberration. So every graduate must understand the secrets to applying for a job. That is why here it is said that the first vital step to getting a job interview, job applications are the step-by-step guide. The step-by-step guide explains, sorry, that's a mistake. The first vital step to getting job interview, job application. Okay, let's say the first step to getting job interview. That's just the right word, okay? Which means when you apply for a job, how do you get to be brought for interview? That's what that means, all right? The step-by-step guide explains how to give employers the information they need to put you on the job list. Do you know, on the short list rather, do you know that most times when you apply for a job, you discover that you're not shortlisted? Why are you not shortlisted? There are a lot of factors which I'm going to be explaining now. The first is that you have not built a CV. And when I say a CV, I'm not talking about the CV in your box. I'm not talking about the CV that you have kept somewhere written. I'm talking about your career history. You've not built a career history. If somebody stops and begins to ask you, what's your career history? What can you say? How many places have you worked? What experiences have you gotten? How many trainings have you undergone? How many conferences have you attended? How many seminars have you attended? What are you currently learning? That makes up a career history. If you don't have that, then there is a problem with your career posting. That's what this is talking about. Recruiters prefer CVs and resumes, while others prefer applicants to complete a job application form. This is talking about different requirements based on what the employers want. So this is not supposed to be a problem, because when you see a job advert, they will definitely tell you, do they want a CV? Do they want a letter? Whichever they want, you will give it to them. But what determines what you're going to give them is what we're concerned about. And we're saying that human resources built over a period will determine what your letter is going to look like or what your CV will look like. There is no magic, there is no shortcut. Take note of that. There is no magic and there is no shortcut. What employers are looking for in application letter, first is the criteria, job qualification and qualities. I will explain this very simple. What does that mean? What makes up your qualification? You studied mass communication. That gives you knowledge in a specialized area. All right. Then when you're out, you go for professional courses in journalism, all right, or editing and all of that. That gives you professional qualification in that perspective. All right. Now you can see that you have the requisite qualification, academic and professional. And then what about qualities? Qualities are what we refer to as non-cognitives. Those inborn capabilities or inherent capabilities that we've already said, leadership skills, all right? Things like open to experience, all right? Extraversion, those are qualities. They are not basically learned skills. They are qualities, but you can proceed to what we call prowess. Prowess, Prowess. If you proceed to prowess, that is not acquisition. You can actually learn so that you can use these inherent leadership skills very well. You can learn so that you can use these inherent communication skills very well. If you don't learn, remember, a man that stops learning starts dying. Though you have these qualities, but you cannot use them in the current labor space because you don't know how they have been applied. So these qualities are needed. All right, then you can go for technical skills. all right, like the IT-based skills and other related technology skills as it concerns your course of study. These are the criteria. Then being an exception. After that, you've done all of this. Now, let's assume 10 of us have gotten all the developments, but we are here for an interview for a job. That's what we call expert power. You must be able to make a difference in spite of all the skills you've acquired, just like others have acquired. How are you going to apply yours? Recruiters are looking for exceptional workers. They are looking for exceptionally productive workers. And that's how you're going to do that. And for you to do that, it means you've got to continuously, topple on your skills, continuously do something about advancement, read, do personal studies, go for trainings and all of that. You'll be able to stay exceptional, get work experience. You already know what that is. This criteria will help you to be able to fit in the job space properly and be able to help you to apply properly as well. All right, how to complete a job application. Find out what the employer wants. I don't really need to talk much on that. How do you do that? There is an advert. This course is very vast, but I'm going to do well to just be able to go through. All right. So when we say find out what the employer wants through adverts, what does the advert explain? The advert tells you about the job design. Every employer does a job design before he begins to look for job qualification. So job design will determine the job qualification. So do not think that employers are ignorant, though most of them are, but most employers are not ignorant, so they understand what they need. And so they do an internal job design and then they put out an advert. So you must know what they need by being able to have built what they need. You must understand the industry system. If you say you also work in an oil and gas industry and somebody asks you, what is the system driving the oil and gas industry? What would you say? Remember, I've told you laws, technologies, and models that are driven by competitors and determined by customers. All right. And also the society and the trend of things in general. Number two, prepare yourself. Get all the basic information. I know you have a skill already. I know you have knowledge already. I know you have the competence already. But you've got to do, an urgent finding when you're applying for a job in XYZ Limited. And what are you going to do? Find out how XYZ Limited runs. Find out their history. Find out how they operate. And that is going to help you to prepare yourself. We'll get that more during the interview session. All right. Then number three, write your application. Articulate and focus on the following academic and professional qualification, like we've mentioned: experience, skill sets, academic qualification, professional qualification, non-cognitive skills, prowess, which is cognitive skills, what you can contribute to the organization, how loyally ready to work with them. When you have all of these things, then your application is going to run. Then your final checks is making sure that everything you intended to put there is there and that your grammatic constructions are also all okay. All right? Good. So now, these are like general views in composing your letter or cover letter, like it's called. Please don't be confused. A letter is a letter. Whether it's called cover letter or letter, they are all called letter. What you need to know is about the elements. That's what you need to know. All right? So here we say, begin your letter with sir, have a headline, make concise your suitability for the job. I'm going to give you more details on that, actually, don't bother. All right? Make brief sentence and short paragraphs, and then check spelling, grammar, and all of that. We're going to see that. We're going to use the letter precisely to actually express this, to see how it works. All right? But before then, please note that there are two types of application letter. The first is letter of application, which is a letter that is done based on an advert. You saw an advert, which means the employers are inviting applicants to apply. But what we call letter of inquiry is when you want to do, a job in a company that has not placed an advert. And you may ask, so why should I do that? I'll give you some reasons. Number one is that most times there are vacancies in a company and it is not made open. So you may stand a chance. Number two is that you must not sit at home and be waiting for adverts. You must do a letter of inquiry, and I'm going to teach you how that letter of inquiry works so that you will be able to secure the right position even without an advert. All right? when peradventure such vacancies, are there. So we're going to look at these two types of letters, all right, as we proceed. Now, you may not see what I have here, but I'm going to read out so that you can hear quickly, and I will explain with the highlights, all right? Every letter should have the addresses, of course, like you've seen, your own address, dates, the address of the company you're writing to, which will include the name of the person in charge, okay, the title of the person, all right, or the title of the person, whichever way can go, all right, and then the company, all right. Then you have your salutation, and then in most cases, you have the post you're applying for boldly written. But I'm going to show you also another example where you may not put the post boldly written, but it will reflect in your introductory aspect or your first paragraph. All right. So now this is a letter of application that we have here, and this letter of application has about 3 to 4 paragraphs. After today, I want you to have been done with issues of letter and how it's going to be written anytime you apply for a job, because it just has the same sequence. It doesn't matter how it's been applied. This person is applying for the post of a chief accountant. Look at what he said. I read with interest your advertisement in the Guardian newspaper of September 30th, 2021 for the post of a chief accountant. Meaning that I can remove this headline here and just run with this paragraph. And then I've already mentioned what I want to apply for. My second class upper grade in accounting, professional qualifications, ACA, master degree in finance, and many years of cognate or similar experience fit me well for this position. Do you want to know what the first paragraph has done? It has talked about the position I applied for, and it has talked about the academic and professional qualification stroke experience. So take note. First paragraph has dealt with talking about position applied and qualifications. And these qualifications are what? Academic, professional, and including experience. Including experience. Then let's look at the next paragraph. What does it say? I understand this post requires a candidate with strong analytical mind, self-starter, and a person skilled in Oracle, Microsoft Access. All right? So you can now put another suitable skills like, Microsoft Access. You can talk about, Peachtree and other related accounting softwares. All right? Then it says, who must be able to, with little or no supervision, loyal and willing to contribute immensely towards achieving organizational objectives. What was talked about here? Very simple. Here, this applicant is talking about his cognitive and non-cognitive skills. Cognitive and non-cognitive skills. Please take notes. The first paragraph dealt with the position applied for, the qualification academically, professionally, and experience. The second paragraph is talking about cognitive and non-cognitive skills. So when it says willing to contribute, willing to be loyal, it is his non-cognitive skills that makes him loyal. It's his non-cognitive skills that makes him committed. It is his cognitive skills like Microsoft Access, Peachtree, Oracle, that enables him to use his accounting knowledge to work. So that's the second paragraph. Take note. So we go to the next. The next is, kindly contact me at the above address or through my telephone number, for an interview as I remain prepared. Thank you for your time, opportunity, and consideration. Sometimes some people may not use even thank you for your time. They just end with the other one. The major thing we're concerned with is the fact of the values that you have dished out in this letter. And then you go to your subscription. Your subscription is where you have sincerely. You can use yours faithfully. You can use kind regards. All right? Depending on how you want to do it. Yours sincerely, however you want to do it. But you must do your subscription. All right? So now let's see the elements that we used in this letter now. Look at them here. Your address, of course, has to come. Information about you and dates has to come first. Company's contact person has to come, all right? Like the human resource manager. Sometimes you can say Mr. John Abade, the human resource manager. You can also say the human resource manager direct. So be flexible about this. but you're hitting at the point. And then salutation, sir, Mr. John, all right, dear John, whichever you want to use. And then the position, all right. The position means application for the post of, all right. Or like we rightly saw, you can begin a paragraph and referring them to an advert with regards to that particular position of an accountant. You have just done the very basics. And after then, start your paragraph. Opening paragraph, advert reference and the position where, ultimately you didn't use, a job vacancy provided headline, or even when you use it, you can still decide to use this. So they are all flexible. Just get this content and decide how you want to use it. Then your opening paragraph after that, where you talk about advert reference, okay? You saw or you read, okay, that about an advert on national dailies, on NCA, on that. All right. And then by that you're applying. Number two, middle paragraph. What's it talking about? You have to talk about your qualification, like we saw. So talk about your qualification, professional academic experience, then talk about your cognitive skills in the thought. Go to next paragraph. All right, where you do, ask for how they can access your number. Tell them how they can access your number like we read previously. All right. And then thank you text. And then your subscription, which is your sincerely, and then sign and your name. So you can see that we have been able to simply do a breakdown of that letter. These are called elements of a cover letter. So if you can have access to this, all you need to do anytime you want to write a letter, just call back to these elements and you are done and you're good to go. All right. Coming to the next, all right, is where we have another example, like I said. If you watch in the previous, we have the human resource manager, okay? But here, we are having Mr. John Ade, the human resource manager. So it's flexible, feel free. We are still saying the same thing. And here we say, sir, or you say, dear Mr. John. You're still saying the same thing, all right? Good. So here, you have still another example, all right? Note, you may write without the position or post being made obvious like the previous. Like you can see here now, there is no headline, all right? There is no bold, emboldened headline here, but we just said, dear Mr. John, and then we went on to say, I read with interest your advertisement in the Guardian newspaper of September 30th, 2021 for the post of a chief accountant. It can be, mechanical engineer or whatever post. So those are good examples that you can use, all right? So here, I have what I call a take home. Please, this is for you. When you get this material, use this and compose a letter in your area of practice, and then let us have that letter. Compose a letter in your area of practice, and let me have that letter. I would like to have a submission of the letter so I can scrutinize it and possibly talk to you on better ways. All right. So now the next is a letter of inquiry. Letter of inquiry. Remember I said letter of inquiry is written because there may be vacancy in the organization that you don't know about. Secondly, you don't need to sit at home. So apply for, a particular position. But I'm going to give you quickly how this is done. I don't know, the positions available now. I know the industry. I know the positions they are likely going to have, but I don't know if those positions are occupied. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to apply for a position that is in line with my career path. That's what I'm going to do. That is simply what I'm going to do, so that when that opportunity comes up, I am likely going to be called. That is the secret on how to do this. For instance, look at what it says. I'm writing to inquire about vacancy for a librarian in your establishment, and attached herewith is my curriculum vitae. I have a BA in Library and Information Studies at University of ABC, and I am also a chartered fellow of XXX Library Institute of XXX. I have worked for several libraries across the country and have had vast experience, as a library technician. You see, the same format we used for letter of application is what we're using here, because qualifications are reflected here, experience is also reflected here, but it's just that there is no vacancy yet. I am only saying peradventure there is vacancy. And then I come here with the aid of my academic and professional qualification, vast experiences, good interpersonal relationship skills, listening skills, organization skills, and information technology skills, amongst others, qualifications, and vast experience in the field. I am confident that when the opportunity is given, I will not only contribute but will be involved in the management and development of your collections of e-journals and other electronic publications, even as I enhance my skill sets while serving in loyalty to the code of ethics of your organization. Please kindly contact me. That. You already know all of that. Can you see how we technically listed skills that a librarian needs? So what skills does your profession need? That's what we're saying. And then you come to your subscription. Here you can also get the elements. So you go to the elements here, all right? And then that is just what that is all about. All right, so I can move on to curriculum vitae. What is a curriculum vitae? It's called a life history. I like to call it a career history because what makes you relevant in this life, in the world at large, is your career. How relevant you are is based on the solutions you can prefer. All right. So, but first of all, like the names imply, curriculum vitae is what is called, the British call it. America calls it resume. So whichever you use is okay. Use resume, use curriculum vitae, it doesn't matter. All right. Then it is called curriculum vitae or resume by Australians. So Australians call it curriculum vitae or resume. But that's not our concern. You can use all of those titles, all of those names. Curriculum vitae is referred to as a life history, like I said, but I call it career history. It gives detail about values you have built career-wise. Please don't start writing a CV without values. Please check your CV. What is contained in it? Can you start listing your certificates of trainings now? In a given profession, and then it's more like it's endless. It means you're a career person because remember what the definition of career is. It means continuous progression in professional and work life. It implies continuity, and that's what CPD means: continuous professional development. If you're not developing, please don't bring out your CV because your CV is a reflection of your values. That's why a lot of graduates have problems today putting up a CV. And I can challenge you. If you don't build skills, you've got nothing to put in your CV. So that is why you need to know this. All right. Because of time, I don't want to dwell much on each of these sessions. So quickly, what do I need on my CV? These are the components or elements. That same thing you have on your letter. I used to say it, that your letter is the same thing with your CV. But what's the difference? CV is schematic. Letter is prosaic. It's more like you're writing an essay when you're doing a letter. But let me tell you the truth. Everything you have in a letter is what is reflected in a CV. Just the mode of putting them together are the differences. And that's what you're going to be seeing here. Your academic qualification, your professional qualification, your skill set, your experience, remember mastery, attitude and qualities, inherent capabilities. Then career prospect. I don't see this in a lot of CVs, but I put it in CVs when I build CVs for people. Why? Because an employer needs to know your dream. Now, today, you have this skill, but you're telling your employer in your CV that in 5 years' time, these are the skills you want to build, and these are the area of practices you want to go into. You're already telling your employer that you are an asset for the future. I don't want to say much on that because of time. So talk about your career prospects. Also talk about your awards that you've received. Awards simply show that you have been relevant in diverse areas, okay? And then projects that you have embarked on, that you were part of a team. It shows how relevant you've been as well. This is like a template that gives you clear lowdown of what I've just explained. Please take note of that. That's why professionalism is very important. You must keep building professionally. I don't have time. I want to make sure that I meet up with the time. Professionalism is something that you must not play with. Please, everybody here is a graduate or an undergraduate. We selected the audience because this is not for school cert holders. So as a graduate that you are, or an undergraduate, we assume that BSc and HND is taken care of. But let me ask you, what about professionalism? Do you know that under professional qualifications, you will talk about two things? You have professional certifications and training. Then you have professional organizations you belong to that gives you a title. For instance, are you a fellow of an institute? Are you a member of an institute? Are you an associate of an institute? Are you a student member of an institute? Why should I belong to a professional body? If I belong to a professional body, I get current information about the profession and the practice in that area. So that's simple and short. Employers want to find your professional titles and your professional organizations where you got it from on your CV. And in addition to personal certification and training, other trainings you get that has nothing to do with belonging to a professional body, but continuous professional development. You need these two facets of professional qualification in addition to your skill sets. And let me give you a secret. The more professional trainings you go for, the more skill sets you build. Take note of that. The more professional qualifications you build, or the more professional trainings you go for, the more skill sets you build. And then that will complement academics, and then others will run through. So you can go through the material. I don't really have much time on that. Then we look at packaging tips for an interview. Now, these are actually secondary issues most times I don't like to talk about, but let me just talk about it. Because after that I've developed myself, I have all the skills. When I'm going to appear before a recruiter, he doesn't know me before. So my appearance should tell or should speak well of me. So what are those things? What are those things? Are you people hearing me? Please indicate on the comment section, please. Indicate on discussion group if you're hearing me. All right. What are those things that are needed? Why your skills, experience, and competence
Yes, we
will
are
win?
hearing you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Why your skills, experience, and competence will win you the job. Know that your appearance also will leave an impression, on the recruiter at first. You can imagine we are going for a banking interview and you are wearing a Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, I was told that it has stopped, but I think I'm back now. So, moderate colors are what you need when you're going for an interview. Apart from moderate colors, then look out for the kind of attire that your industry requires, and then put it on and go for the interview. That tells that you're already somebody prepared to work in that industry. So, what are the colors? Black, dark gray, brown, and blue. All right, black, dark gray, brown, and blue. All right, so that is just about that. So quickly we'll go to interview questions. I think that's about close to the last thing we have to do, and I'm going to rush quickly so that I can close and so you can ask your questions. Now, when I'm going for an interview, remember, when I apply for the job, it's not enough. I have professional qualification is not enough. I have academic qualification is not enough. I have non-cognitive skills is not enough. What should I do next? Please research the organization. Go to their website. Go to their social media handles. Ask questions about people who know about the organization. When you ask these questions, it helps to prepare you further than just having a knowledge of the system that drives the industry in general. That would have put you on a pedestal to gaining access and becoming the right person to be employed. All right. So interview basically is saying, is a two-way affair. What do you mean two-way affair? People often think that the recruiter is the only person interviewing you. It's called interview. It means that you also have a view of the company. That's why you're researching the company. That's why you can ask questions during interview. All right. So take note of that. Everyone is speculating. The employer is speculating because he doesn't know you. There's a persona here, he doesn't know you. All right. But he knows the qualities he needs. And you too. You don't know the employer per se, but your research will help you to understand their system. You're concerned about the system because every employee relates to the system of the organization. The recruiter does ask questions and the applicants also do. Okay, that is ask. The recruiter does ask questions, and the applicant also what? Ask questions as well. All right. So interviews are usually focused on the following: performance area in the job, your qualification, your development prospects, your job interest or career interests, qualities, and inherent abilities. These are the focus areas that an interview usually, used to be. All right. So now, quickly, there are 8 questions that usually could garrison or surround an interview irrespective of the job. And I'll read them out quickly. The first is telling the interviewer about yourself. So they say, tell us about yourself. Quickly, what are you going to be talking about? You introduce yourself briefly, thank the interviewer for the opportunity given to you, then tell the interviewer your name, your qualification, your qualities, including your soft skills. That is, for instance, I am open to experience, I am an extrovert, I am positively neurotic, I am affectionate, I'm an affectionate person, and all of that. Just introduce yourself. That already begins to tell that you can do the job that is being applied for. Then number 2 is, what do you know about our company? Please, how is this going to be taken care of? You will take care of this before you come for the interview. Research about the company. Research about the company so you can tell them about the company. What do you know about our company? It's not possible you can ever say it if you've not done the research. So it's as simple as that. Please do a research about the company. Tell them about what the company is into. Tell them about the history of the company. Tell them about the achievement they have made. Tell them about their position in the industry. When you talk to the company about this, even the latest information that you got about the company before you came for the interview tells that you really know something about the company. Is as simple as that. Number 3, why do you want to work for us? Take note. The first one is knowing yourself. The number 2 is knowing the company, researching about the company. Number 3 now is your career interests. Everybody has a career interest. I always wanted to become a broadcaster, a digital marketer, a robotic engineer, an editor, and an auditor, and all of that. I always wanted to become this. That is why you want to work for them. Because if that position is not available, you will not apply. So that's what that question means. It's not about whether you have a sympathy or whatever, for the company. Those ones to come. But the question now is, do you have the qualifications and interests to work here? That's what this question means. Why do you want to work for us? I always wanted to become a robotic engineer. So I saw this advert and I deemed it fit to apply because this has been my area of interest for all the while. All right. So that makes it clear. That tells the employer that you're not going to come to waste their time, but you're definitely going to come to give values because you have passion for what you're applying for. Now, why should I hire you? Remember, number 1 is tell us about yourself. Number 2 is tell us about the company, our company. That's what you know about our company. Number 3, why should we hire you? All right, and okay, sorry. Number 3, why do you want to work for us? All right, why do you want to work for us? All right, your interest area. And then number 4, why should I hire you? I am competent. It is your qualification that determines why you should be hired. Yes, you have interest in robotic engineering for 5 years, but have you been developing? If you've been developing, then now that is why you should be hired. All right? That is why you should be hired. So what do? You talk about your qualifications and your qualities and your experience. You already know that. Talk about your qualifications, your qualities, and your experience. I have a BSc in so and so. All right. I am a member of so and so. I have professional certifications in so and so areas. I am open to experience. I am outgoing. I'm sociable. Okay. I'm highly concentrated. I have 3 years experience in this field. I've worked with so and so and so. So that tells why you should be hired. Number 5, what are your strengths? Your strengths are tied to those non-cognitives that I've talked about. All right. Your strengths are tied to those non-cognitives that I've talked about that makes you compatible for the job. What does that mean? For instance, if you're to do a management job, You must be organized. I am an organized person. Is a strength. If you're to do a public relations job, I am a sociable, an outgoing person. That is a strength. Just take a cue from that. Your strengths have to be your inherent capabilities that support the job. Then what are your weaknesses? This is where a lot of people have issues as well. Let your weaknesses always be traits that are not needed in the job. What does it mean? I have said I am an organized person for management job. And what will be my weakness? One of my weaknesses could be the fact that I'm not highly sociable. I'm not highly sociable, which means I can concentrate to do my job. Even though I am trying within my capacity as a management person to be able to relate with workers or my subordinates in the organization, but I'm not highly sociable. So what have you done now? You have simply displaced the recruiter. So invariably, you don't have anything that would threaten the job. Why do you want to leave your current company? Prospects for new emerging job opportunities. Prospects for new emerging job opportunities. All right? Prospects for new emerging job opportunities. I'm making some corrections. Good. Prospects for new emerging job opportunities. That's what we started with on the first day. So you already understand what that means right now, right? All right. For so and so company, all right? Which was a national-based company, all right? Due to my career prospect, I always dreamt of working with a firm as yours with diverse designations that runs, with trendy skill sets and globalized systems. This inspired my decision and attempt towards applying for and attending the job interview. Can you see that right now? Your prospect is the reason you actually want to leave your former company. What pay do you expect? Please, this is done in two major ways. The company has a wage payment system. We're going to learn tomorrow how that works. A wage payment system. So tell them, you know that company A, B, and C has a wage payment system that determines can be paid. Stella, please come here, please, if you're around, please come, Stella. That determines what your pay should be. So take them back to their wage payment system. But number two is what is called wage payment scale, or wage rate system. All right. Wage payment system or wage rate system simply talks about what is obtainable in the industry. How can I tell them in my class? That's obtainable in the industry. What does that mean? We have Union Bank, First Bank, Echo Bank, and all the banks. There's what is called comparable rates elsewhere. They used to compare their salaries because they do espionage, they spy on each other. And by the spy, UBA could be paying somebody in a given qualification 200,000. First Bank is paying 220. Echo is paying 180. So what do? By your research, say give them a range, 180, 220. You are done with that answer. It means you understand what's obtainable payment-wise in the industry. All right. Quickly, interview is one-to-one or panel interview. The simple thing here is that when you're faced with a panel interview, okay, you have different questions coming with different, intellectual powers from different people. So it could be a little bit tasking, but I tell you the truth. If you're well prepared, whether they are 10 or 3 or 5, usually 3 to 5 or one person, you can stand the interview. All right. How do you access job portals? Quickly, I'm not going to waste time on this. Networking. Okay, through networking, you can access job portals. My time is fast spent. I'm already 4 minutes behind time. All right. It is said that the majority of job vacancies are never advertised. So often referred to as the hidden job market. So there are most jobs you can never hear about until you have a network. So learn how to do what? To build a network. How do you build network? Join professional associations, even when they are not yet accredited or established by law, but they are already building and working towards that. As long as there are people that do the same thing you do, join your professional association. Attend events for graduates of your school, all right? And to connect with professionals who work in your field. You may also be able to meet other professionals, okay? That's networking. I don't waste time on that. They are very straight. Okay? Number 2, company websites. Company website. Create a list of employers that you did like to work for. You already know the kind of industries you want to work, right? Search for the employers and start searching their websites. Number three, recruitment agencies. Please ask questions. There are recruitment agencies that actually have spaces that you may possibly apply. They interview you. Sometimes they keep you ready for the job when it comes up. So look for recruitment agencies online, you'll get them. All right. We have some guidelines regards to that. They are in the full material. We couldn't put everything here. If you want that complete material where we have all of this, even including the recruitment agencies in Nigeria, you will apply for it. Is 1,000 and you get a copy of that. Then number four is temping and internships. Through internships as well, you can also, get a job. The above has to do with temporary employment. All right. Temporary employment may sometimes lead to permanent employment. Okay, permanent position. All right. Go for internships. Do voluntary, jobs. Do application by inquiry. Be there. Don't waste your time. Be there and be gaining experience. They may retain you. All right. Number five. Number four, right? Okay. I gave four of it. There are almost about 10 of them. All right. So you get them in my full material. All right. When you're ready to do that. We also have people who have career websites or career companies that are different from recruitment agencies. Those are areas you can go and learn about career issues. They post about jobs generally. All right. Whereas recruitment agencies would help companies to recruit for them. Finally, professionalism and its essence. I also cut this one short because of time. So I have to just make it sure that we can meet up. All right. But you need to understand that professionalism transcends academics. Professionalism transcends academics. And I'm going to read something for you here. One of the most common definitions of professionalism by Sir Alan Langlands, all right, says those occupations where a first degree followed by a period of further study. Those occupations where a first degree followed by a period of further study. What does it mean? It means that after your BSc, you must further. You must further. That is how you go professional. You must further. That's how you go professional. It's as simple as that. Professional study, professional training, all right, is the normal entry route. Professionalism is a specialized practice in a given job area, okay, or job areas that is or are in accordance to professional and regulatory standards. That's what professionalism is. Like I told you, you are a lawyer, like you said, you must specialize. You're an engineer, you must specialize. All right. You're a mass communicator, you must specialize. You're a migrant, expert, you must specialize. All right. Since the inception of professionalism, practice is different. Practice in different job-related areas have experienced tremendous improvement in methods and manner. Of course, today we are talking about emerging professions, emerging jobs. That's what professionalism actually does. We won't dwell on this much, like I said. I'm just giving you tips, but you can get the detailed material, all right, from us if you're interested. Components of professionalism, 21st century primary components of professionalism by Dilliers. What does it say? Acting in the client's interest. Professionals. That's why one of the things you're taught in your professional organization is conduct ethics. Okay? Ethics. So ethics would help you to act in the interest of clients. That's what we call ethical choice. Ethical choice means acting, in the interest of your client and your own interest. So balanced interest. If you're not a professional, you may not understand all of this. This is one of the things that professionals are being taught, all right, to make professional judgments, to be objective and all of that, all right, and to also advise clients rightly so that they get due benefits. Two, code of ethics, all right, code of ethics. Members observe every profession has what is called ethical ruling. Ethical ruling comes from ethical principles. Ethical principles are like non-man-made laws, okay, that professions can now learn from and now pen down their own rules that their members should follow. And then number three is high entry standards in the form of examinations. That's why for you to belong to a professional body, you have to write certain exams that deals with the labor market directly, practical issues, so that they will determine if you're qualified to practice or not. Finally, what professions face? Professions are faced with evolution of consumerist values. That is, what does it mean? From time to time, consumers are always coming up with new tastes and preferences. That's what professions face. And that's why professions are now advancing rapidly to meet up with the demands of consumers. Steady creep of regulatory encroachment, that is dealing with laws, Anytime the law advances, professionalism has to follow suit because the law serves as compass that determines what happens in given practices. Then number three is increasing media and public scrutiny. Of course, what does that mean? On the media, they talked about the particular practice. Say this is what accountants are doing, this is what lawyers are doing, this is what engineers are doing. That is scrutiny. And that would help to put professionals in check and to do what they ought to do rightly. So this is where we are going to bring it to a close today. But before then, I'll give you room to ask questions. I'll say I have about 20 minutes. I didn't want to stay beyond the time. I've taken 10 minutes already. Okay, so I'll give room now for you to ask questions. And then after which, I just tell you about what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And then we will close for today. You are welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Please, if you have your questions, you can type your questions or you can indicate, and then I'll call you up to ask your question. Please, you can do that quickly and be very brief when you come up for your questions. Be very brief, please. You can indicate to ask a question, and I'm going to unmute you so you can ask a question, or you can type your texts of the question you want to ask, and then Stella can read it out for me, and then I'll respond to the questions. All right, we have 8:30 to leave here. God promise is 1 hour 30 minutes, and we just try to keep to the time. Thank you. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. All right, okay, I can see somebody want to ask question. Okay, let me unmute you. Please unmute yourself, okay? Unmute yourself. I've allowed you to speak, so go ahead, be audible.
Hello? Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, you're welcome. Be
Good
a
evening,
little
sir.
bit more audible. Thank you.
My name is Chizaram. Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to ask a question. As a youth corper,
Yeah.
apart from AutoCAD and artificial designs, what kind of skill, professional skill, does a civil engineer need?
All right, you need cognitive skills like we've talked about. All right. All you need to do is to search for cognitive skills, non-cognitive skills rather, sorry. You need non-cognitive skills, which is basic for all professions. So all you need to do is to Google and ask for non-cognitive skills that actually would help. Like for instance, problem-solving skill is one of the skill that you need as a civil
Okay.
engineer because there are skills that goes alongside with critical thinking. All right. So you can take a cue from that. All right. To
Okay.
be able to, you also need analytical skills
Okay.
in course of doing your designs. All right. To be able to do that. They are non-cognitive skills. You add them to the ones you've already mentioned, which are cognitive skills. But I bet you if you do further research, you're going to find possibly more cognitive skills, mostly the IT related that you need in your profession. So that is why I give that mini project so that you guys can do a research personally as it concerns your area of study. All right. And also, when I talked about prospect of job opportunities, follow that guideline directly, do your research. You have a template that defines your career. And that will be it.
All right.
Are you
No
okay with
problem,
that?
sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Who else? Okay. I'm seeing Izuchukwu. Izuchukwu, are you there? Izuchukwu, are you there?
Hello, good evening. Hello? Hello?
Hello,
Good evening.
I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tekweme John Izuchukwu. Please, I have 3 questions to ask.
We can hear you. Izuchukwu is talking. You can on and on.
talking?
You can hear
Hello?
us.
Can you hear me
Hello,
now?
Izuchukwu. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Izuchukwu, please,
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
I can hear you.
Yes, good evening.
Okay. As I said, I have three questions to ask. Number one, is concerning the certificate. You said that after this program, that if you want to acquire the certificate, you pay the sum of 2,000 naira. Then my question is, if like I'm a COP member and obviously I have spent my this month Alawi, is there any way we after this program you can still get certificate? Maybe you pay subsequently, probably next month or at the end of the month, as the case may be. Then second question is someone in the medical line, what are the special skills that person can acquire in order to earn a higher position in the world of health?
Okay, but you were here
Then
yesterday and we actually dealt with.
Yes, three. He's still asking.
the
Okay, you have
question,
three
the third
questions. Okay, go
question,
ahead. Go ahead.
the third question is that I studied transport management technology and I specialize in logistics option. So I still confused on the skills as a logistician to where I can specialize, like special skills that I can do in order to also gain an advantage in the labor market. That's my question. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Okay, good. If the triple number one, after this program, those who are interested in certificate should apply because it's just a giveaway. After now, we cannot do that because this certificate is actually licensed by Charter Institute of Personnel Management. That's the apex regulatory body in Nigeria. And we have our license. I send their link for people to go to their website and confirm whether this company has anything to do with them or not. So this is a privilege you are given to beef up your certificate. So if you're interested, you apply for it during this program, all right, after your exams. Number two, what skills do a medical person needs? That's why I gave you the guidelines under prospects of job opportunities. What do you do? In the medical field, where do you belong, first of all? We can't just start talking about the skill a medical person needs when there are facets of areas of medical practices. Are you getting that right now? So what do you do? Go back to the job-related area, all right? What
Okay.
area of medicine are you practicing? Some people are even in public health, all right now.
Optometry.
So when you get the specific, hello?
Optometry. Optometry.
Good. Even if it's optometry, the simple thing you do is technical skills for optometry, and you get it. Very simple. The Google is with you on your phone, you get that result. Non-cognitive skills for optometry, you will get it, and that will solve the problem. Are you going to write down? The
Yes, sir.
guideline that you need from a career expert is the fact that the person will help to guide you to know that you need non-cognitive skills, you need the technical skills, you need experience, all right? And then you
Yes.
need necessary professional qualifications in your given area. So we'll guide you through those processes, do the necessary researches, and then you're able to document, for you. You also talked about your field. We took care of that yesterday, and I told you what to do yesterday. And then for logistics, ask for non-cognitive skills for logistics, okay, and also ask for technical skills for logistics, and they are going to get results in that. All right, that will take care
Okay.
of the matter. What we're doing is to
Okay.
give you guidelines that helps you to build a template in your area of a practice, and that will take care of your issue because we cannot begin to list skills for different practices. They are uncountable, so we cannot do that. What we do is to do a kind of a guideline, like an auditor's guideline that helps every field to find their foot or their feet.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm having a question here, so let me answer the question from Vicky. All right. All right. So Vicky said, all right, thank you, sir, for this session. Now,
Yes.
am I back? All right. Sorry, I was cut off by network. All right. Vicky is asking that she's about to resume, her work, and she used to be the admin in her workplace. What is expected of her? That's what she's saying. Secondly, I'm a graduate of mass communication. What skills am I expected to acquire at this stage? The whole question is the same thing. For the administrative perspective, simply what you do, Vicky, is to ask for what are the duties of an administrator? Please take notes. What are the duties of an administrator? Then, where do you work, Vicky? If you work in an oil and gas firm, if you work in a construction firm, what you do is to ask, what are the administrative duties in a construction firm, in an oil and gas firm? So that you get something specific for the industry where you work, and that will take care of your administrative duties. Then also ask, what are the skills that an administrator needs? Cognitive and technical. Cognitive and technical. And of course, when you say technical, go further to talk about IT skills that is needed for an administrator. And then that will take care of that matter. As a mass communicator, remember I said earlier, you studied mass communication, but mass communication can do a lot of things in the job world. So the first thing you do is to ask, what are the prospects of job opportunities for a mass communicator? What are the prospects of job opportunities for a mass communicator? When you get that solved, for instance, when you do that, you get things like on-air personnel, all right, journalism and all of that. Let's assume you want to go for on-air personnel. As an on-air personnel, you need to now get what are the skills needed by an on-air personnel, all right? Of course, an on-air personnel must be a very good talker. So public speaking skills are needed for that man who does, on-air personnel jobs, all right? He must be sociable. That is now non-cognitive skill. He must be sociable. He must be able to know how to catch the audience, to catch the crowd. So what you simply do here is this. What are the prospects of job opportunities for a mass communicator? Once you get the current industry-related job areas, pick the one you want. For instance, on-air personnel. Then ask for specific skills for on-air personnel, and then ask for non-cognitive skills for on-air personnel. All right. Once you do that, you are done. All right. You can also go for that to what are the duties of on-air personnel, and you'll be done, for that. So that really prepares you. Of course, other things we've talked about, like what are the further professional studies needed for an on-air personnel. And when you do that, that would have helped you to know exactly where you fit in. All right. So that is the answer to that question. Please indicate, Vicky, if you heard me by text, please. If you heard me, please indicate. Say yes if you do. If you heard me, say yes, please. We have 7 minutes left. We have 7 minutes left. You can type your question or you can just indicate and we'll answer that. The way to handle career matters is an auditing approach. All right? Good. You must be involved. Don't expect something to fall from somewhere, because if you don't know it and it just dumped on you, how are you going to practice it? Okay, Chizaram, let me allow you to speak. Are you there? Chizaram?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here, sir.
Oh,
Yes, I can hear you.
go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'm sorry for asking this question.
No, you don't need to be
For
sorry.
asking.
Go ahead. Just feel
Actually,
free.
I was cut off by net.
Okay. Okay.
I was cut off by network.
All right.
My colleague asked about the certificate, I know. So I was like
Yeah.
asking, we as core members, I won't lie
Yeah.
to you, it's been exhausted, the monthly payment. So I was asking if you can also give us a limited space so that we can get something and also pay for the cert. Like if you can give us time apart from the ending of the program, then if something comes
Okay.
up, we just
Okay.
make the payment.
We'll talk about that,
And
but
this
you do your
is us.
exams, and I will tell you what to do. And possibly you make a commitment to that so that we can book you down for it. Because remember, we said this is a giveaway. We
All right.
This kind of program, you can see the quality of the
Okay.
program. It cannot be a 2000. That's why it's a free program. The certificate is just for administrative
Yes.
purposes. All right. So that's the money for executive for administrative purposes. But I
Okay, sir.
bet you the certificate is CIPM and it's not disputable. So it will add to your CV. So it's better you make sacrifice and get it. Also get the complete material, like we said. This, what we're using here is for just lectures. I have a complete package on this particular lecture that I'm giving. And when you get it once, it becomes yours. So you guys should take advantage of it and get it now for yourself.
Okay.
We're actually introducing this program, but subsequently, as we run, the program may begin to go for a fee for the training in particular. All right? So talk to us privately on that and we'll know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Tell your friends as well to be part of this program. If you've got value in this program, talk to them to be part of it. All right. Any other question? We have 5 minutes left. I saw Boniface here. Is he still here? Is Boniface still here? All right. Any other? Please, if you can't hear me while I'm talking, educate. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with 8 Nigerian labor laws. 8 Nigerian labor laws. Still be talking about employee relations and the law. Employee relations and the law. You can see the highlights of the law here. We'll be talking about the Labor Act 2004. We'll be dealing with the Trade Union Amendment Act 2004. We'll be dealing with trade dispute Act 2004. We'll be dealing with National Minimum Wage Act 2020, the one that gave rise to the 30,000 minimum wage from 18,000, which also came from 5,000 in 2011. Am I okay? 1 5 minutes. Am I back?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, I was off. Sorry, I was off. So she just identified me. So we're talking about employee relations. That is relationship between employer and employee tomorrow, and the labor law. And some people ask, why do I need to learn about the labor law? As a career person, if you don't know anything about the law, you are lost, and that's why your employer can treat you anyhow. That's why your employer can tell you whatever he likes. That's why your employer can do whatever he wishes as well. So that is why, as a career person, you need to know these laws. And what are they? Labor Act 2004, that's the mother law, the parent law. Trade Union Act as amended 2004. Trade Dispute Act 2004. National Minimum Wage Act 2020, the one that gave rise to the 30,000 minimum wage, which was from 2011, 18,000 minimum wage, and then 5,000, before 2011. Okay, all right. So the next is Pension Reform Act. I guess you must have been hearing about pension. And as a worker, your company is entitled to do that following the conditions of the law that we're going to see tomorrow. So you need to know about pension. That is for retirement benefits. Employee Compensation Act is another one, 2010, all right, which talks about the duty of your employer to pay premium to the government via the agency NSITF, which is called Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. All right. And when they pay premium on your behalf, which is 1% of your salary, then you can now be entitled to a compensation per adventure accident happens. I'm going to tell you how that works tomorrow. National Housing Fund Act will tell you that there is a provision that government makes that anybody from above 18 years who is a worker should be entitled to housing funds. All right. And we're going to learn how that works tomorrow. And then mineral oil safety regulation. This is for the mineral, this is for the oil and gas sector and the phases of minerals we have in Nigeria. This is the regulation, the law that regulates it. So we're going to be learning about this tomorrow. There are other laws actually, but these are laws that directly deals with relationship between employer and employee. And I bet you need to know them so that you know some of the things that even most lawyers do not know. Yeah, as an employee, as a professional, you need to know them so they can help you to practice while you work. All right. So I think that's the last thing I have to do. I don't know if anybody else have a question again. All right. This is Rita. Thank you very much, Rita. Thank you. Tomorrow we'll be meeting by 7 p.m. again. And I hope we'll be having discussion tomorrow. So read through all that we've done. After the law discussion tomorrow, after the law presentation tomorrow, then we will have an interaction. So write out your questions. Come with your questions. Come with your contributions. Come with your experiences. Let's talk about them. Attend to the mini project that we've given. Then attend to the classwork, the homework, the take-home that we have in the manual. We're going to send the manual a few minutes after now. I'll also send the audio recorded um, presentation as well to you. Please go through and do whatever we ask you to do. We are going to be having a very simple quiz, all right, after the program. Don't forget, we are going to be displaying your name on our career database page on our website. That is for those who are applying for the certificate, so it will remain there. And you're also going to have opportunity to send in your CV to our recruitment page, because we're actually making an effort to work with some recruitment companies where we can have access to be able to relate job opportunities to you while we help to guide you. So these are the privileges you have. I'm going to tell you more of it tomorrow as we meet. This is 29 minutes to 9 p.m. Where there is the absence of question, we will bring the meeting to a close. Stella, please, do you have anything to say before we go? Stella, are you there?
I'm here.
Stella, are
No,
you
sir.
there?
I don't. Yeah, I'm here. I
No.
can hear you, sir.
All right. Do you have anything to say before we go? All right,
No,
nothing.
sir.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, I was giving a kind of a final speech, a conclusive speech, and I was saying thank you for coming.